The Composting Podcast from Waste Awareness Wales. Here's Richard Ellis.
Digging around. Digging the ground. I got my spade.
Hello and welcome. In this podcast, we're going to talk about how home composting works and the benefits it provides to us all. Composting is really the purest form of recycling, and it's something that nature takes care of for you. Adrian Jones, Waste Strategy Officer from the Welsh Government Assembly, outlines how composting helps our environment.
Composting at home reduces the amount that local authorities have to collect and treat, so it therefore reduces vehicle journeys. It provides the material for use in the garden, so we reduce our reliance on peat-based compost. It reduces the amount of material which ends up in landfill, so again it reduces the production of greenhouse gases, and it extends the life of landfill sites for waste that can't be composted or recycled. Above all, it sends out a positive message to people who don't yet compost, that we can all do something to help our environment. And it's as easy as putting certain rubbish in a compost bin in the garden, rather than in a black bag or a wheelie bin for collection. It really is very little more to it than that.
At least 30% of your kitchen and garden waste is suitable for composting because it's biodegradable. It's amazing. Your biodegradable waste, such as vegetable peelings, prunings, paper, and a range of other things from your kitchen and garden, will decompose easily and naturally in a humble compost bin. Beneficial insects and microorganisms get into your compost bin or your compost heap, and they help break down and decompose the waste material into lovely, nutritious compost that will help fresh new stuff grow in your garden. Isn't that great? However, if you mix your biodegradable waste in with other materials and leave all of this out to be collected by the bin man, most of it will end up in landfill sites, where it's unable to decompose properly. It's squashed down under all the other waste, and there's no access to air. Now, air is a very important factor in compost. With air in the mix, the insects and the microorganisms can thrive and do their job properly. Without air, they simply can't. When you compost at home, you'll find your bin will be able to retain the air it needs simply by putting in a range of materials. For example, loosely scrunched up bits of paper, tear your egg boxes roughly before you add those in, and add prunings and twigs, and then you'll easily ensure the materials in your bin can decompose aerobically, and that means there is air in the mix. It's important what you do and don't put in. Becky Faviger from Environment Agency Wales.
Well, I only put kind of my vegetable peelings, my green waste from my garden, kind of bits of twigs, grass, eggshells I put in, bit of newspaper, egg boxes, that kind of thing. I don't put in any cooked food or any meat or fish scraps or anything like that. Councillor
Richard Parry Hughes offers the same advice.
What I think is important to put on a good compost is to use the green material, the grass cuttings, not too wet. If it's got lots of wet grass cuttings, try and put some cardboard or some paper mixed in to dry it up a little bit so that the air can get into it. And then vegetable material, the potato peelings, vegetable peelings, that kind of thing. Cooked food is not a good idea whatsoever, and especially meat or bones. You keep those. That's a big no-no. You've got to keep those out. They're very, very dangerous to put those into compost. Not because of the compost, but because of things like foot and mouth. But it's really important. And I wouldn't put too much. You can actually put a cake or something, which has gone a bit too hard to eat, but don't put too many of that kind of thing there. You'll attract the rodents there. But it's the green vegetable material. That's the best thing to put in there.
Richard's job means he knows quite a bit about composting on a big scale.
I'm a farmer, so I compost lots of materials. All the farmyard manure is taken out of the sheds and then put to a heap. And that actually is compost, that farmyard manure, so it's all the straw mixed in with the dung from the cattle, if you like, or sheep, you take it out. And so that's a very long time. So what we tend to do on farms actually is put all the green materials, the potato peelings, all that goes into that big heap anyway. We don't have a separate heap. But For people living in townhouses, etc., or in a village, you have a patio somewhere or a bit of concrete. You can get these containers which you can buy and put the material in to compost it and keep it together. But really try and get some air in as well, but not to make it too wet. It's important not to make it too wet as well. Leave it as dry as you can. And then turn it over and get some air in there. And the more oxygen you get in there, the better it is, because that will actually rot it down very quickly.
So you need to ensure you put the right stuff in. Don't laugh, but getting the mix of materials right in your compost bin can be fun. Try it and see. To make a start, aim for equal proportions of fast green and slow brown materials. For example, a bucket of kitchen waste needs to be mixed with a bucket of scrunched up paper and cardboard or other brown material. If your compost gets too wet and it's stagnant or smelly, then add more slow rotters. That's dry, brown and hard stuff like twigs, dried leaves or cardboard. If it's too dry and doesn't do anything, then add more fast rotters. That's the fast and green soft stuff like vegetable peelings or grass cuttings. If you want more information about composting, visit wasteawarenesswales.org.uk. Thanks for listening. Check out the other podcasts in this series.
Funded by Welsh Assembly Government. This podcast has been a USP content production.
Digging around. Digging the ground. I got my spade, I got my hoe, I got my rake, and I'm ready to go.